Hello everybody, it's your boy Memnon. Welcome back to the channel. And today's episode is all going to be about the Magdk. In this build video, I'm going to showcase you everything you need to know about how you survive with the Magdk, do the highest DPS in it, and just take the best out of this class. The Magdk over the years has been seeing a lot of changes, some for the good and some for the bad. And over the years, it has been steadfastly became my main character. That I'm clearing every single content from arena fights, for dungeons, for trials, just name it. With this build and with this class, I've been doing every single one of them. So let me showcase you my expertise, what I've learned over the years too. How do you survive with this class the best way as you can. The Magdk is not the easiest class, but with this build, with this way of playing, I managed to bring a good B class to a solid S class. Hopefully you enjoy this content, and never forget to press like and comment down below and let me know what you think.
Now let us see how this build looks like in form of stats and overall gameplay. Now, as you can see, I have a max Magdk flat stat of 36,035, max health of 18,819, max stamina of 12,240, max recovery of 14,882, health recovery of 459, and stamina recovery of course of 833. Spell penetration 3,275, spell critical 60%.7, beautiful number to achieve. 7,947 spell penetration. Now, that is important that you need to understand now. How DPS and damage is calculated within the Elder Scrolls Online if you're new in this game. What counts is not only the number you have in form of spell damage. You can, of course, if you have the like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 spell damage flat, it's nice to have, but it doesn't guarantee in form of single target parsing you're gonna manage to get, for example, the 90k DPS, for example. What makes certain gamers manage to get that, and that's not only the practice and the parsing that they do over and over again. You have the Fingerspitzengefühl, like the German people say, have the feelings in your hand. But what the game calculates himself is, first of all, your max Magicka. The higher the pool with your max Magicka is calculated with the amount of damage you do in output as well. What also counts is your spell critical. The higher critical, of course, the higher you can manage to hit the highest number in that tool case that you're using. And of course, spell penetration, what that does, actually, you need to manage to get 18,000. Now you're gonna say, but man, you don't have 18,000 spell penetration. Yes, I know. Now, I'm not gonna get 18,000 flat like this. What I'm gonna manage to do to get 18,000 is the total gear sets of every single component that I use, the buffs and debuffs that I use in form of gear sets, skill choices, and the buff and debuff that I receive in form of group contents itself, in trials or in dungeon. And totally you need to count all together 18,000. The minute you receive the 18,000, then you have the beautiful cap for you to do as proper DPS parsing and high damage within the class that you're using. And for this class, the Magdk. So the magic is important, spell damage is important, spell critical is important, and of course your spell penetration that you have at 18,000. That all of those four contents counts together for you then, if you're practicing your parsing, to get the highest DPS out of it, of your character. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit understandable how the DPS actually works within the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm using 64 points into Magicka. I'm using the Thief Moonstone, and I'm using the Eyes, balls of Eyes, max Magicka, and magic recovery. I already have a lot of max health, so I don't need a lot more. 18,000 is a beautiful number to have. You could definitely clear every single content within this game. Excuse me for this. With 18,000 max Magicka. In the previous patch I was running even lower than this, so having 18,000 is beautiful, it's amazing. so it's more than you need. So I'm only running blue stat food, trying to increase my max magicka as high as possible. Now, a form of skills. Let's start in skills first. Now, the first, what I use the Infernal Staff of Maelstrom. I use this for a front bar and well, for my weapon and my jewelry. Charge trade when a flame enchantment on the Infernal Staff. What the difference is, the Infernal Staff, Inferno is good for single target, Lightning is good for AoE. Now, on my back bar I use the Maelstrom Perfected Lightning Staff. Like I said, Lightning is increase your AoE output for 8%. It's very important, you need to understand that. I'm trying to increase all my AoE damage in my back bar as high as possible by having this slotted. Now, what I do as well, I increase my weapon and spell damage by 414 enchantment I do at my Maelstrom Build. And an infused trait. Do you need the perfected version of the Maelstrom Build? No. You only can have like a 2% DPS loss you have. It's not the end of the world. If you manage to get the perfected one, it's nice. Congratulations. It's always nice to have the 2% extra. Not to be, yeah, we're not gonna bullshit ourselves. Every form of DPS you get extra is always nice to have. Why do you need it per se? No, with a normal one you can get it. It's fine as well. You can clear every single content as a game very easily. I'm using 7 pieces of lights. As you can see, I haven't even golded all my gear sets, so all of them into gold. I'm working on it, but if you're gonna run this set as in the form of long run, I recommend you to gold all your gear in gold as well. I'm using 2 pieces of Mother Sorrow and the 3rd pieces of Ring of Bell Order. That makes it 2 infused in my back bar and Bloodthirsty. And it's a perfect combination as well to use at a Magdk, because the Magdk doesn't have a form of execution phase like the Necromancer has or other classes have. So it's a good balance to have in between 2 infused and the Bloodthirsty, and it's a perfect balance to have for the Magdk. In dungeon, Overland gameplay, or even a trial, doesn't matter if you have 3 Mother Sorrows here, just make sure you have 2 infused and 1 Bloodthirsty. Okay? Now, the Ring of Bell Order, what the Ring of Bell Order is going to do for me, the Ring of Bell Order is a beautiful set that makes sure that the Magdk, if you can put the Magdk in the form of a classification, the Magdk is a solid B+ class, just without the Ring of Bell Order. But what the Ring of Bell Order managed for me to do, I managed to bring this class from a solid B class to a solid A++ class. I can literally clear every single Overland gameplay, arena fights, Vateshran, Maelstrom, just name it, very easily, without stressing myself for every single content out there. It's a very beautiful set and helps me in form of survivability extremely well with this ring. Now, the skill sets. First, I'm gonna showcase to you the skill sets in form of Overland gameplay and form and content dungeons that you need to have, and of course trial set as well. So, in form of dungeons and trials, this is gear setup that you need to have. Only different is, of course, I'm gonna switch this as well, so we don't confuse ourselves. This is for trials and dungeon setup. That is the setup you need to have. Okay. First of all, and the front bar. We're gonna start on the front bar and go to the back bar. The front bar, first of all, we're gonna use the Molten Whip. Now, the Molten Whip is gonna do actually when you activate an Auto Flame ability, you receive, you do a 75% weapon damage increase and stacks for 5 seconds. It stacks himself 3 times. What it does actually, what the difference is, if you that means every single Auto Flame ability. That means the second ability that we use as well, the Burning Flame, is an Auto Flame ability. What that does, it gives you a 16,632 flame damage over 14 seconds and flat damage for 4,355 the moment you activate it. Now let me first explain this first. So what it's gonna do, the moment you activate this, of course it does damage. It's sticking himself for 14 seconds, like it's been shown. Now, the moment you do a second time, this, what it's gonna do then, what makes this actually an amazing survival set, is it heals you for 75% of the total damage when the effect ends. And you will, as you saw in my first playthrough on the world boss itself, I've been using this to make sure that I survive and give me a form of the burst heal. It's an amazing set for you to use in form of dungeon as well. You can do a lot of DPS and a lot of crowd control as well. Yeah, and it can give you the form of heal if you truly need it. If the heal is not there for the moment, your heal is not getting it, your Dix is not getting it, you just proc this one time, and proc this the second time, you get your heal that you need to heal. Okay? The third ability on the Ardent Flame that you're using is your Engulfing Flame. Your Engulfing Flame is gonna do is gonna give the target that you spray your Ardent Flame, that target is gonna have 10% more damage. We see he will get 10% more damage input towards him. So that what makes it now. This ability, you can use it in form of a single target ability, but you can also use it in form of a cone ability. So you can really spray it. So every single NPC in that area get caught with your flame, like a dragon, will get not only 15,505 flame damage over 40 seconds, a flat damage of 7,800 and 7,800 flame damage flat, an offensive stats of max stats of 10%, of course, but more importantly, the damage, he will get 10% more damage by just having this activated on it. Okay. Sorry, I was rambling a bit. A fourth ability that we're using is in a major skill line. Is the Analytes. The Analytes, and what that's gonna do, it gives you not only why it's slotted, of course, the Max Magicka increase for 5%. You gain Major Prophecy, that's amazing to have. Increases your spell critical for 2,629. Well, because we're already here, and the second ability we're using of the Mage's Guild is the Shooting Star. For combat, I literally don't use it very much because I use another ultimate. Well, the only reason I slot this is for the passive you have from the Mage's Guild. Now, why you slot a Mage's Guild ability when it increases your Max Magicka and Magic Recovery for 2% for each Mage's Guild ability slotted. My credit bonus is 4 because I have 2 Mage's Guild abilities slotted. Every single ability here has an increase of Max Magicka because of it. 4% extra. This truly is amazing. The last ability that I use is Mystic Orb. Mystic Orb is literally one of the best magical based ability in the game itself. It's a beautiful ability. It's an AoE based ability. The moment you use that, every single enemy in the area caught in it, this ability receive a nasty 1,572 magic damage of every second to the nearest enemy. But the beautiful thing is it creates the synergy. So if you're using in a group content in a dungeon and definitely in a trial, every single person that activates it get a magical resources restored for magicka and stamina. This is literally, you need to have this in your slot if you're doing a group content dungeon or trials. It's really deceiving how much it hits, but this ability hits by itself if it ticks above 20k damage, 40k even, sometimes mounted on damage output. This ability to do a shit ton of damage is absolutely amazing and absolutely insane amount of damage it does. Slot this if you're doing dungeons and trials. Definitely. It's a must-have in your tool cage. And a back bar, we're using Molten Whip. Why are we using Molten Whip? To make sure when we're using Ardent Flame ability, the increase of the Ardent Flame ability that we have on the Molten Whip each time you're using a flame damage that flat damage, spell damage, will transfer itself not only on your front bar, but also on your back bar. So if you stack it 3 times, the 75 plus spell damage you receive will bring himself into all your back bar as well. So you can benefit it on your front bar and on your back bar. That's why I double slot it in form of trials. If I go on a trial, I always slot it like this. Barb Trap is the second ability you on the back bar. It's a fighter skill ability. We don't use this for the damage output. We use it only for the minor force you receive. Do you receive a beautiful output? Yeah, of course. When you trigger, it creates a 3,100 physical damage, additional 143 physical damage for 18 seconds, and of course, what the most importantly, it increases your damage, your critical damage for 10%. That means each time you activate this, an enemy is caught in it, you get 10% critical damage increase because of it. It's absolutely insane. It helps you really make sure you always activate this before you start doing your rotations. Okay? The third ability on your back bar we're using is Eruption. It's an Earthen Heart, is the last ability, it's morphed from Cloud Morph. Ashen Cloud, pardon. What this does, that is literally a crowd control. When you activate this, you're not only gonna do 2025 flame damage for every single second it is activated, and in addition 8280 flame damage while it's activated, but what it's gonna do actually for you, when you have this activated, every single NPC in it has been slowed down. It's an amazing ability for crowd control. It gives you time to breathe, to move away from your target, and just to reassess the situation, to heal yourself, take a potion, whatever, but to really reassess the situation and continue your passing them. The other ability we're using on our back bar, it comes from the destruction staff. That is unstoppable wall. It's gonna depend if you're using a flame staff or a lightning staff. It's gonna be lightning, it's gonna be fire. Fire staff, inferno staff is gonna be fire, lightning staff is gonna be lightning, of course. And inferno staff is for single target, and lightning is for AoE. So what it's gonna do is gonna give you a flat damage of 1114 magic damage to every single target in the area for 1 second. Every second it's activated, and an additional 7902 magic damage. What is additional 7902 weapon damage? When the unstoppable wall stops, it creates like a form of explosion. It creates an additional damage for you then when it's finished. So you do not spam this. You make sure that this takes as long as possible. The same thing as Eruption. You make sure that this trick is finished completely and then you reuse it. You do not spam this. These are not spammables. Okay? The last ability is the Flames of Oblivion. Are we using? There's the last ability, the Ardent Flame. Are we use? What this does, it gives you Amazing Prophecy, which is savagery for 2629 each time you activate it. So, and of course, it gives you a flat damage of 8288 flame damage for 5 seconds. What it does actually, once you activate it and you start fighting, you don't have to do nothing actually. It's going to attack itself. So you make sure you have this activated before you start a fight. And a dungeon or on a trial, definitely on a trial. So it's gonna attack itself for 5 seconds long. There's a free damage output you have. It does nothing for you. You make sure that that ability finishes completely. You do not spam this as well. And the last but not least is your bread and butter. It is literally the best AoE, one of the in the game itself is your Standard of Mights. What is a Standard of Mights gonna do? It creates a flame damage every single second that is activated. Gives you a major defile to every single enemy caught in it, reducing their healing received and healing recovery for 60%. Increases your damage taken in that area for 15%, and the most beautiful thing is actually when you activate it, an ally can activate a synergy for 12,106 flame damage for 5 seconds long. Now, what it does for you as well, in form of resources, the moment you activate this beauty, it restores your max health and max stamina completely at max magicka the moment you activate it. So this truly is an oh shit button. If you are having resource problem, you proc this, your health is back, and your magic is back, and you can continue the show. Okay? Now, other ability in form of overland gameplay. So the ability I like to use as well is the ardent flame. I use that at my back bar, my ardent flame, or I can activate that straightforward at my front bar. Then I push my undaunted skill line at my back bar. So it will make sure, because I have a lightning ability, all of this will be increased because I'm using it on the back bar of my lightning. That's a setup I like to use in overland gameplay. If I find for myself I don't need an additional healing, I just need an additional shield ability, so I use this. What this gonna do, increase your physical and spell resistance by 5,948 for 20 seconds long. It gives you an additional shield for 3,213 damage for 6 seconds long. That is truly is an amazing ability. It will allow you to take a lot more hits than you normally can take. Always make sure that your shield is up, especially if you're doing an overland gameplay by yourself. You will see, you saw at the first playthrough against the world boss, I always make sure I have this activated at all time. At all time. It really is an amazing ability for you to have. Now, if you, for example, you're saying I need just an extra healing, the other ability I recommend you, and you will see as well in the playthrough, that I'll use as well a lot, is the draw essence. The draw essence, you put it on your back bar as well. You can take your mystic orb away. Fortunately, if you want to play like this in form of survival, really thinking in form of Maelstrom arena, overland gameplay, Vateshran arena, all the stuff, you have difficulty and you need an extra form of healing. Draw of Essence is an amazing ability. What it's gonna do for 3,133 magic damage nearby enemy. Once you activate it, of course, what it do is gonna heal you for 149 damage cost. After 2.5 seconds, you exhale and dealing 6,500 and flame damage to nearby enemies. Every enemy caught in it, you get 10% magicka back. It's an amazing ability form of sustain as well. Healing, a burst healing you get as actual the moment you activate it and you are in combat. You need to be in combat before you have the benefit of it. And it will restore your enemy, every single enemy is caught. What it looks like, that's the ability I was using all the time. Every single I use this. It does only a re-damage, everybody is caught in it, but it heals me as well. It's an amazing oh shit button. If I need that burst heal directly, and this is definitely an ability you need to have. Overland gameplay, world bosses, overland world bosses, arena, and etc. If you need that burst healing. Of course, your shield looks like this. Your X damage shield. Alright? Okay, let's move on. Another ability I recommend you to have. Let's do a normal setup that we always use. Now, this ability is the last one of the last ability of the Ardent Flame. So why I'm saying that, you can say, man, that's a tank tool. Yes and no. Now it depends how you use it, how you really going to use it. When you activate it, you're only going to do 6,552 flame damage the moment it's activated. Increase your movability field, so you're pulling the enemy towards you. On that, it makes you much easier to reach the enemy. Makes sense, right? Now, if you cannot pull an enemy, and you're gonna get 100% restore of the magicka of the magicka lost back. I'm gonna explain it directly. The moment you end in a fight, you activate all your tool. You're doing all your shit stuff up, and you start doing your chains. As you can see, and your chains, by activating it, I'm restoring my magicka back. Okay? Now you're gonna ask yourself why I would use this. Now, if you find yourself in a pinch and you want to fight in the distance as well, you need to count that is an ardent flame ability. So by activating this, you're activating the passive of this molten whip as well. So the entire tool cage is active. Now you're gonna have a little slight DPS loss, just a little bit, but it will give you the option to fight in the distance as well against the boss without you slotting and lightning stuff. I would recommend you, if you're using this in the form of a dungeon, make sure that you let your friend who's a tank know that you have this slotted, because you will help him in form of ad pulling as well. But it is a very dangerous ability. If you do not know the Magdk properly and you pull your enemy and you don't know how to boss swap very fast, put your shield on, your heal down very fast, this can be a very tricky one. It can be very deadly for you. By something you need to practice. By a form of bosses itself, this can truly be a lifesaver for you in form of sustain. As you saw, every enemy I cannot pull back, it gives me health Magicka back. And for this form of sustain is an amazing ability, because I can use this at a distance as well. So, of course, here's where it's bugging. Typical. Alright, as you see, I can use this at a distance. I can keep my distance if I'm fighting all the time. So, if they cannot reach me, they cannot kill me. But in Overland gameplay for boss fight, you're gonna see it, how it looks. You have an overall idea. Okay? Now, a form of trial sets. Trial sets, what you're gonna do is Soroya. In body pieces, Mother Sorrow, weapon and jewerly, of course, and Zahn monster set. Do not look at this heavy set because it's still based on the previous patch. Make sure you have 7 lights within this build at all time. Make sure it's 7 lights. Make sure that your monster set is light as well. That's the most important thing. Make sure that your monster set is light. You stay 7 light. Monster Zahn lights, shoulder light, Soroya light, body pieces, and of course Mother Sorrow jewelry pieces. 2 infused, 1 bloodthirsty. Of course you take this one out, of course. That is form of trials setup. My recommendation for you. In form of champions points. Champions point allocation, like I only have 1100 champions points. While I'm trying to invest myself, I'm trying to increase my max Magicka as high as possible. The 2% of the 5% extra I'm getting is always nice to have. Increase my max Magicka output, that means it's going to increase my damage output as well. The higher my Magicka pull, like I told you before, the higher my damage output, how it's calculated altogether, it's going to make a nice beautiful buff. I'm trying to increase my critical damage as high as possible. I increase my critical damage done when I'm flanking an enemy. Then the moment that the tank shifts his boss with his back towards us, this critical damage procs itself and I'll do more critical damage. Me, if I'm tanking, I always make sure that I turn the back of the boss towards my group, so they always make sure they benefit from this passive. So I have this passive slotted. Increase my single target, we do that a lot. Damager, we're doing a lot of damage over time effect. We are DK, we are a magic, we are DK. Dot is our thing. I'm trying to increase our area effect ability as well as high as possible. Extended might, while we're trying to invest in as much as possible, is offensive piercing as high as possible. Flawless ritual and war machine as high as possible. These are the toolkits that you need to have. You need to focus yourself on a Magdk and the form of the blue allocation. In form of the red allocation, now, what I invest in, first of all, I try to increase my max health as high as possible. I need to make sure that I have the necessary max cap that I want without me willing to use other buff foods. because of this, I have this activated. I managed to reach the 18,000 max health, so that's why I'm using only blue stat food. I can focus on my magicka and my recovery much higher. I increase my armor, so make sure I'm more resistant against everything around me, give me survivability. I increase my health, magicka, and stamina recovery. It's very important. A form of sustain. I'm trying to make sure I have as much as possible sustain I can have in a class. I don't need this. My apologies for a second. There's a mixed match. I don't need this. Now, what else can we take? We take max magicka. There's an amazing set to have, ciphering spells. Each time you kill an enemy, you restore magicka back. So a form of dungeons, of arena fights, Vateshran, Maelstrom. Every single time you kill an enemy, you restore magicka, and it's truly an amazing ability to be slotted because it has helped you from sustain as well. Normal ability, yeah, it is nice to have because it's just gonna enhance your ability to summon your friends much faster. Other ability is nice to have. I increase my max health as well, as high as possible. There's another one I activate. I increase my sprinting. Increase my resistance against element effect around me. All of this is a matter of choices that you have. If you want to allocate this, it really is a preference you have. Okay. Now, a form of green SCP, same thing. It's a form of choices you have, but certain green CP are just more reliable than the other one. At least I found it more reliable than the other one. One is just to gain more gold per stage, more loot during the treasures that you have. I activate my crafting ability as well. What I like to use as well to make sure that my buffs, a form of drinking and food, last much longer. And I make sure that if I use a potion, I maybe have a possibility that it's not being consumed. And of course, if I'm trying to farm as well, I'm trying to make sure that I move much faster over Overland to make sure that I manage to steal the resources. Yeah, if somebody is trying to be a dick, trying to steal the resources, this can actually help you to move much faster and in an area to farm your resources. What I could use as well a form of way shrine deduction costs, moving from point A to point B. This comes quite handy as well. But overall, it's your choices and your preference. That's really going to add up in the form of DPS or anything, but just nice things that I personally find quite useful to have if you're playing all around. Okay, and I mark it for this section as well. Hopefully I forgot anything. Are we gonna continue in a form of Overland gameplay? I'm gonna show you a certain form of world bosses killing in different forms, so you can have an overall viewpoints how the build actually works, how you can survive yourself in a different area. Hopefully you like this content. Let's show this case as you have an overall viewpoint how this build actually works. If you have anything comments of everything I told you right now, just comment down below and let me know.
Now in this 3-part video I'm showcasing you right now is to give you an overall viewpoint of what this build actually is and what you can do with it. A lot of gamers, a lot of players always showcase to you a single target viewpoint and narrow viewpoint of the Magdk. A lot of people are saying it's a hard class to sustain yourself, and it is truly a hard class to sustain yourself in it. But if you manage to know the perks of your class, you know what ticks, what makes it strong, what makes it weak, and you work yourself around it, and the Magdk truly shines itself. I managed to clear the Maelstrom arenas. I managed to clear the Vateshran, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, the newest arena. Almost as good as Flawless Conqueror. Managed to die very stupidly in the end. But with this build and with this way of playing and the gear sets and gear choices I've showcased to you, and the skills choices I showcased to you, and you will be managing to clear this content very easily. that is the content that you're actually doing 90% of the time now while playing this game. For me personally, I truly love the Magdk. It's one of those classes that it is really versatile. It always has his managed to maintain his class identity. A lot of classes out there that manage to lose their class identity, but the Magdk, in a very weird way, they manage to maintain that form of integrity and a form of class identity. And once again here as well, I'm showcasing you how you can manage to play with a Magdk, how you can survive with a Magdk. So I truly want to showcase to you that it's a very strong build, and it's very versatile. You can really truly clear every single content in the game. It becomes like easy mode, to be honest with you. And like you saw in the stats, not even my gears are still purple than most of them, except my weapons, of course. For the rest of them, it's all purple. And I'm really hitting like a truck right now. Just imagine yourself in a perfect scenario that I have the max CP and everything, and yeah, this build is gonna be extremely strong. But the reason I wanted to showcase you now and just wait until I had the max CP and everything, because I was truly proud of it. How strong it actually is. I was truly shocked actually how strong it actually is and plays. So I truly wanted to showcase you that. But of course, when I reach the max CP, I'm going to do another update with it and I'll give you the CP pausing. And in the previous patch, when I was pausing with Magdk, I managed to hit more than once above the 90k DPS. And I'm talking about other gear sets that I'm using right now. The Soroya, the Maelstrom, all lights, 7 lights of course, and the Soro weapon jewerly and Soroya gear sets. Managed to get hits above 90k DPS very easily. So now, because I don't have the CP allocation right now, I'm around 1100 CP. I'm not really rushing myself to get to the max cap. Otherwise, yeah, I got bored very fastly with this game, so I don't want to do the same mistake again. I just want to enjoy the game, not rushing myself to the end game like I did before and throughout the years actually. So I want to play just the game right now, and just when I get there, I get there. That's my mindset right now. I'm an user. Well, as you can see, it's a very versatile build and very strong. Hopefully you like this content. The only thing is that don't forget to press a like, comment down below, and subscribe yourself. Let me know in the comments down below what you actually think about this build. It's always nice to get a different form of feedback. It's always nice to hear. Give me as well an opportunity to change my content and to see where I need to approve it towards. This is my 3rd video actually I'm doing for the ESO Online. Hopefully you like this content. And once again, I don't want to be rambling. You press the juicy like button, subscribe yourself, and we'll see each other on the next one, the next build video at the ESO Online. Have a safe day, safe night. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye. Stay safe. I'm out.